Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Big smile on my face today. It's new build day and this is a build that I've been waiting months for. This is the Agora Models release of build the Orca from Jaws. Now look, I haven't even opened this yet. The seal is unbroken, so we're going to open that together. But I have looked at the instructions now, and I think the best place to start with this is to show you what tools you're going to need to start off with so we can actually go through this build. I will be weathering this build up, and I will be showing you how to weather this build up as well. So don't panic about that. I am going to be doing it as I go along as well. So hopefully I can give you some tips and tricks regarding that. Now, if you do want to get this for yourself, it's available for Agora Models, and I have put a link in the video description. You got that QR code on the screen, but let me just show you those tools that I'm starting with to start off with. And I've laid them out here. So basically, I've just got a brush-on super glue. Any brush-on super glue would do. This stuff isn't available online, unfortunately. You need to go to the range stores in the UK to get that. This is my stuff of choice. PH0 wear screwdriver I've got, but any PH Phillips head screwdriver will do. Some sprue cutters, any sprue cutters you got. I've got the steady ones here. All of these are available in my Amazon store, by the way. So you can get most of this, apart from the glue from the Amazon store. Some tweezers, always handy to have some tweezers. And then finally, a scalpel to cut open bags and, you know, all sorts of weird, wonderful things you can do with a scalpel, I guess. Now, obviously, earlier on in the week, I showed you the prototype of what this is going to look like. There will be changes as we go along because, obviously, the prototype just shows a mock-up of what it looks like. But I'm sure the finished thing is going to look absolutely brilliant, especially when I'm finished with it and I've done all the weathering. So, for that reason, just for these builds, look, I bought my mechanical shark in here just to keep me company. But we've got 4 stages in pack 1, but there's a lot to do in those 4 stages. So, I've been waiting so long for this. Without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, this is an early release box that I've got here, as you can see just by this here, but these are starting to ship shortly. I'm going to open this seal now, and for the first time, we are all going to see what you get in the box. Wow. Look at this. Okay, so we've got these items there. We'll look at that. They come on trays. Can you see that? Look at that. So we've got a tray there. We've got 2 trays. Now, I know there's 4 stages, so some of the stages are going to be in these trays. Wow. That looks excellent. Look at that. Okay. Let me put that to one side. And we do have a little note here which just tells us about the 1/16 scale model kit and where you can get the instructions from. Now, all the instructions are digital. They are online on the Agora Models website. So that's that there. And then we have this brochure. And this brochure is pretty much showing you everything I showed off on Monday. Every individual thing that this model is going to be coming with. I'll let you have a gander at that. There's a Cockney word for you. At the end, we've got the Agora Promise, which says once a model's released, it will go all the way to fruition. Always talking about the Advantage Club as well. So if you have bought a model previously from Agora Models before, you've got some benefits through the Agora Advantage Club there. I'm having to switch to this camera now because it gets big, and as you see, some of the things that it actually says in the speaker, you're going to need a bigger boat. You got the "Show Me the Way to Go Home" song, the Indianapolis speech. Pretty cool, isn't it? And then finally, this opens out into a massive poster looking just like that. And I can't even get that in the whole shot there. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so stage 1, let's do this. So that's what it looks like with the top off. The first thing I'm going to want to do is actually take out this control board from the pack here. Now this control board will be powered by USB-C, as you can see there. And I do have a USB-C cable here that's going to enable me to plug that in. So put that in there. And I do have a mobile power supply here I can plug this into. Now, in the second pack here, we've got some wires that we can actually check with this. And I've just taken one of these wires out so I can actually test this. So what I'm going to do is plug this into this port just here, and this should light up. which, as you can see, it has. So that's a red navigation light there. Now when I take it out, I'm pulling from the plug, not the lead. So let's try the other one. I'm guessing this one's going to be green. And there you go. As you can see, we've got the green light as well. That's excellent. Okay, once again, just rock that to bring that out. Okay, so we know the test board's working. Let's unplug that. Now, if you want to use the screwdriver that comes with this, which is actually labelled with some Orca logo there, it's just a case of putting this head into here, and we've got a screwdriver. Now, that is in with a magnet, which is holding that in, as you can see. So I think, you know what, I'll start using that to start off with. Okay, so the first two items of this build look just like this, and this is going to be for the flybridge, some of the controls, and all we're going to do is do a dry fit first just to show you how this is going to go. This is actually clipping into the top there. This will be the first time I'm using some glue. So the glue needs to be away from the center hole, so I've done a little sort of like eye shapes there just so I can push this in. The advantage of using a brush on glue means you're not putting too much glue on there, so it's not going to seep out the sides. But there we go, that's the first part of this monumental build started. Now we get two lots of screws here. You've got this one, which is PWB D4 screws, and we've got PWB D6 screws. It's the 4 ones that we want. And all I'm going to do is line up this center lug with this one here, and then I'm holding it in from the other side with some of these screws. There we go, and I am using my screwdriver that comes with a build to start off with. Now it's going to take 2 of these, and there we go, that's in place. Now the actual control panel looks just like this. We're going to be putting this on top here, so this is just going to be going in here just like this. Now this is going to be glued to the top as well. So once again, I'll put some glue along that back edge, keeping it away from the edges, you see, and then put this into position. Just like that. I've got the helm control wheel, which is actually just going to be going in here. Just look at that. Look at the quality of that. Okay, that's going to go in there just like this. And this time, this is held in with one of the PWB D6 screws. I am switching over to my other screwdriver because this is a deep set in here. And get that nice and tight. Now this is a flange screw, and the advantage with using that is that even though that's in position, this can now turn. There's no wobble on this either, so that looks good. So let's put that to one side. Okay, the next 2 parts are for the top of that flybridge there. We're going to be putting these 2 parts here together. So this is actually going to be going in this way, just like that. Once again, we're going to be gluing this into place. Always good to do dry fits first. I'm only gluing the parts which will have contact, so that's going to go in there and hold that down. My glue does stick quite quickly, as you can see. And the way this is going to go, what we've created here is actually just going to be going onto that section there, so that when I turn it over, you can see probably on the top camera, I can screw this in with some of the PWB D4 screws. I actually need 2 of these. I advise you to actually lift it up when you screw this in, just to protect the wheel on this side. Now I'm going to put that to one side. This will be the first time now that we're actually using our sprue cutters. And any time that I'm working with detail, I now put this on because I can't see a thing. And I want to cut off these little knobs on the end. We've got a red one and we've got a black one. You want to make sure you cut it off in the right place, just there. Do the same on the black one. Okay, and in the tray, you should have this little section here. Now you can see this has got a lug on one side. With the lug on this side, we want to put the red lever. and just push that into place like that, which by the process of elimination means on the other side we've got the black lever. Now they are able to move, as you can see. That's clever. Now, attention to detail now. We're going to be gluing this into place, but I want the black lever to be closest to the center control panel. So this time, when I put my glue on, because again, I don't want it to go everywhere, I'm just going to be putting it on the part directly. And it's a minuscule amount. Get this in here and push that down. Now, even though I'm being meticulous and tidy with this, obviously I'm going to be weathering this up. So any little mistakes I make, not really going to make a difference. But there we go, that's in there just like that. The next detail we're going to be gluing in onto this keyhole pattern. It looks like this. And you see it has got a keyhole pattern on it. So what I want to do is make sure that that's lined up and orientated the correct way. So that's going to go in like that. And again, I think I'm going to put some glue just directly onto the detail here. Put this into position. And there you go, that's nice and clean, as you can see. Now, putting that to one side, in tray 2, you've got these bits of wire here. The two red ones look exactly the same, but there is a difference between the top two here. So the first one I'm going to need is the very small grey wire. Okay, so when we bent that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting this into the holes here to here. Just those two there. So I get one end in here over here, like that. Mark where the other side needs to be, and I'm going to be putting a bend in here, just where that needs to bend. Put it through the hole, so it creates a wire just like that. Looks like a pipe, you see, and all I'm going to do then is just fold it over from the other side on both sets here, and that's going to ensure that that's not going to fall out. Then I've got the bigger wire here. Again, I'm just going to make a 90-degree bend at the top. This one's going to again go at the top just like this. But the bottom is going to go into the notch just there and then fold around. So I'm going to fold that around that side, fold the top down, and there we go, that's locked that one into position as well. And then these two other ones here are exactly the same size, and they're just going to go into the holes on the left. So once again, I'm going to 90-degree bend at the top, put that in the hole here, then that's going to go to the first hole along, and again fold it down, and then just do exactly the same with the second one. So it's quite an ingenious way to actually get some detail under there. And that's what it looks like from the other side. And that is all there is to do in the very first stage. So moving on to stage 2. Stage 2 is actually in tray 2. I'm going to need 2 items to start off with. And they look just like this here. And all I'm going to be doing is the top will be going onto this section here. So once again, I always dry fit parts just to see how that's going to sit in, because I am going to be gluing this into place. You want to make sure that when we put this on, obviously the tabs are facing away from this black section. So let's get some glue together, and I'll just put some glue along these edges and put that in. There you go, perfect. Now next thing I need is the little handle, the holder for the spotlight. Looks like this. This does have a D-shaped pattern, so it's going to go into the D-shaped hole that we got there. Once again though, I am gluing this into place. This time, I'm just going to be putting some glue just around the bottom, sort of like flange of that part. Don't put it on the spindle because that's not going anywhere. So there we go. I've got that nice and straight in there like that. Now I've got a spotlight surround here and I've got a little lens for this. Now this lens does have a protective film on, so you need to kind of find the edge to peel that off. Not the easiest thing, but there we go. I do think there's one on the other side as well. Tweezers are your friend. Now I'm going to drop this in here so it's fitting flush in there. So I'm poking this up with a cocktail stick from the other side here. That will help me get it flat. It also helps me just clean off the inside of any fingerprints that might be on there. Now on this brew here, we have got the reflector. So it's just a case of going close to the edge, cutting this off. And I want to put this on top of the lens that I just put in this way round. So that's sitting on top like that. And then all I need to do is seal this with this part here, which has got the spotlight LED already in here. Now, this has got a notch just on the end. So when I put this in, match up the notch and push this into place just like that. There we go. We've got a spotlight. Now it should hold itself no problems at all. I haven't glued that. What I do like about this, and this is attention to detail, is that the part of the cable which is going to be visible has already been sheathed black for us, and then the other cables, the black and red here, you're not actually going to see. What we are going to do though is put this cable just through the hole here, so then that can go all the way through, and then I'm going to want to put the spotlight into this section here, which does mean bending that cable round a little bit and putting the hinges into the holes on each side, just like that. That looks good. So the spotlight is in position. Now we do have a plug that these are going to push into, so make sure we put these in the right way. So if I'm holding it this way up, I'm going to want the black lead to go into this side here. Hopefully you can see this on the top camera. And then the red lead going into the other one on this side. Perfect. And when they're in, they'll lock themselves in there, and that is now on permanently. I think that's brilliant. I like that. So we can test if this spotlight works now by once again plugging this into the test board and then plugging these lights into the plug here. And as you can see, comes on no problems at all. And of course, when we take it out again, take it out by the plug, not by the wires. Like that. And that is all there is to do in that stage. Now in stage 3, we're going back to tray 1 because we're going to be starting to actually build the flying bridge. So I've got all of these parts here, but this is the one I want, the one that's labelled number 2, which has this little rectangle down here. And I've got these little brackets here, and I want the ones that have got a number 4 on them and a number 2 on them. So that's these two here. And what I want to do is on this side here, I'm going to be putting the one with the number 4 in first. That's going to go into the end there. Now I'm just doing a dry fit on this at the moment. This one is the one with number 2 on, which is going to go in there. So that's how that's looking. That looks very good. So I'm now in a position to glue these in. Now I need one of the smaller brackets here, which is labelled number 3. There's a little number 3 on here. This is going to be going in this way, just like that. So get some glue in here. Gonna hold that in place for a second. Now I want to take off this little LED light. I'm going to remove the cable tie from this light here. Now the light that I'm holding is part of the navigation light that we tested at the start. And it's also got the letter R. I don't know if you can see that on there. That's the one I want. Now we also need this sticky tab here, which looks like that. Because what we're going to be doing, we're going to be putting this sticky on the back. Peel one part off here. I think I'll do this with my tweezers. And I want to stick this to this side of the light. Take the adhesive backing off the other side. So now this is ready to stick into position. And I'm going to want to put this into the position just here with the LED light on the other side facing upwards. Like that. Okay, we'll let that set by putting that to one side. So I then want the number 1 part of the fly bridge, and in a similar way I'm going to find the one with the number 1 on it, which is this one here. That's going to be going into the end here, just doing a dry fit. The one with the number 2 on it is going to go here, and then just like last time, the one with the number 3 on will go into that slot there. So I'll get all of those glued in. Okay, so they're in just like that. And exactly the same way with the one that's got a L on it for left. Obviously, left is port. So this should be the red light because port is red. I'll just put the little bit of adhesive on the back. And then peel off the adhesive. And then just stick this into place in that rectangular section. Just there. Perfect. So let's just put those to one side. And bring over this part of the flying bridge. And the way this is just going to go on is these 3 lugs here are going to go into the 3 holes just on this side. So it's a case of lining it up and pushing that into place. That came along very quickly, didn't it? Now I need the PWB D4 screws. We're going to be securing this in from this side like this. And we need 3 of these. Final one just going in here. Gently just lie that down like this because I've got another circuit board to put into place. And I'm going to want to put it in this way round onto this section just there. Once again, those PWB D4 screws are going to hold this into place. Put that to one side. Now, the part with the navigation light, which has got a number 1 on, I've got some stickers to put on here. So I want to take the number 1 sticker off and just put that on here like this. I'm going to do the same with the number 2. Putting it about 10mm from the top there. And then what I want to do is take this part, number 1, we're going to start putting this together onto the side of the flying bridge. So this is actually just going to be going in here, lining up the holes. And that's fit absolutely lovely in there, like that. Once again, a PWB D4 screw just at the top to hold this in. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side here. So now that is how that looks. And that is also all there is to do in that stage. So in the last stage of this pack, I am going to be building the rest of the flying bridge components here. Now this is red ABS, I'm guessing. Now, I'm going to be weathering this eventually. I'm probably going to weather it while it's actually on the boat. Originally, I was going to be sanding this up a bit, but because it's red, it's not going to make a difference. You're not going to see much red under there, because basically the ladder, which brings you up to the flying bridge, is going to be here. So you'd have a sort of worn out part here, and you'd probably have a worn out part over here as well, where you stand when you're doing the controls. We'll figure that out when it's actually onto all these parts are all together. But what I am going to do is take what we've created here, and I want to put the wires into these rectangular holes. So one here, get that through, and then one on the other side. So now that can fit kind of flush in there like that. Now I need those PWB D4 screws, 4 of these, to fix this into position. So I want to line up the holes and get these in. This is going together beautifully. So the wires that we've got at the back, we need to route these through the opening here. So I'm just going to feed them through here, one that side, and this one that side there. Okay, that looks good. I think what I might do is just put a little bit of tape. You're not going to see it on this side. Now the reason I'm doing this is so that I've got the maximum amount of wire available coming out of this side here. Now we are going to be plugging this into the control board, but I don't want there to be too much strain. Now on the control board, these ports are actually numbered 1, 3 and 2. So it's just a case of connecting the light power supply or the light port to the right plug. So number 1 goes in here, and then number 2 is going on the other side here. It looks like the spotlight, I'm guessing, is going to go into the center. So that's how that looks. Now I've got these little parts here for the navigation lights, I'm guessing, and I need to make sure that I'm cutting off the right one. So I want the left one first. I'm going to use my scalpel just to take off any flashing that I can see along the side. I'm also going to want to cut off this red lens here, same way. And I want to put this red lens, it has got some little slots for this to fit in, into this section, and then push it in. So that's looking like that. This is going to be fitting into the red navigation lens surround, and it's actually going to be glued into position. So we're going to just do a dry fit again to show how that's going to look. Okay, let's just take that out, and then once again, tiniest amount of glue just at the bottom, and I'll get this glued in. Now I'm going to be gluing this assembly to the part that's got a number 1 on it. It's actually going to be going in just like this. And I'm just doing a dry fit because we do have to glue this into place. So that's how it's going to look. So now this is going to be fitting onto this side here. Again, I'm going to do a quick dry fit because we are gluing this into place. I also want to check where we're actually gluing this. So what surfaces are actually going to be touching. I'm just going to get this into the position it needs to be. Looks good. And now I've got another little tool here that I use, just some clamps to keep this into position. That's good. That's what it's looking like from that side. Again, the clamps are in my Amazon store as well. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So again, I need to cut this off of here, remove any flashing, take the green lens, push this into the little slots at the back. So that's in. Then I'm going to be gluing this into position into the green navigation light surround. Okay, once again, just some glue around the inner edge here, because that's going to go into this side. And then we're going to be putting this into position on here. Again, I'll make sure every edge has got some glue on, including these lugs in the middle. Put this into position, which does fit perfectly. And then once again, I will put a clamp on here and down the bottom, just until that sets. But that is now looking really good. Okay, I believe they're dry now. So I'm going to take these clamps off. Okay, we've got the wire here now, which is for the spotlight. So let's go and put a little number on the bottom here, which is number 3. I thought that was going to be number 3. Now this is going to be going on the top here, but we do want the spotlight to be going through the channel just on this side here. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm just going to do, again, another dry fit to see how that fits in there. That's looking good. We're going to be gluing that into place. This time I'm going to put some glue actually on this edge. And again, make sure that wire goes through the channel there. That's perfect. I'm just going to hold that for a second. Now this wire can go between the 2 points just here to actually pinch it in so it doesn't go anywhere. Just like that, as you can see. And I'll plug this into port 3. All of those are now in place. Just going to put this to one side. And I've got these parts of the frame which we're going to be putting in now. Okay, so I need to match up the like colours here. So we've got R, L, L. That's good. Now these actually fit on top of these parts. So if I just put this one in just as a dry fit, that is how that's going to look. So I need to glue these together along the edges here. Once again, I'll just employ my clamps just to keep that into place. So I've got one this side, and I'll just do the one on this side. Once again, just some clamps to hold that in. That's 2 of those sides done. And then when they're dry, we can put these into place. And once again, I'm just doing a dry fit to make sure that these are fitted in okay. So the one that's labelled, these got labels on now. You can't really see the labels. The one with the notch on my right hand side, if I'm looking down like this, actually goes on the left side here. The other one is going to go in this side over here. I'm just checking to see how that fits. That fits absolutely perfectly. So I'm going to glue those into place. The last thing to put in are these rails. Now they want these glued in. Now I'm not going to glue mine in, just so you know. I'm going to just put them in like that because I actually intend to paint those when I do the weathering. So I'm going to be talking about the weathering in a second. Let me just get those ones in as well. But that is how that's looking at the moment. I've got one tiny detail to glue into place now, which is the compass. This just needs some glue just on the tab here. Make sure that the compass is facing upwards, and it's going to go into the slot just at the back here. So got that in. So now that looks just like that. Now I do have one more bit of wire here. Just going to put that in, and basically the way this goes, I want to insert it into the hole just here, the small hole, like that. So it comes up at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that on the top camera. It's coming up here. Now there is a slot for this to fit in. So I'm going to push it into the slot and then bend that round. So just giving you an idea of how that looks there. I don't want that piece going anywhere. So once again, I am just going to put some tape on that just to make sure that can't move. But that is all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. That looks amazing. I thoroughly thoroughly enjoyed that. That looks absolutely brilliant. Now, I'm going to be weathering this up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do it in this video. I'm going to have a standalone video series which will complement the pack that I've already just done. So what we'll do is I'll bring this out probably Friday so you can see what the pack 1 build looks like. And then probably on the Monday, I'm going to show you how I've weathered this up. And then I'll do a side-by-side comparison of what it looks like new to what the weathered version looks like as well. For weathering, just so you know, I am going to be using acrylic paints. I'm going to be using sandpapers. I'm going to be using all sorts of things at my disposal. But I'm hoping the techniques that I show you for weathering will help you when you weather yours as well. Also, with the colours on the side here, the colours, just so you know here, are Tamiya X76, just so you know. It might be worth getting hold of some of that because I'm using that to work on as well. So I'm hoping that's going to be a big help to you. But thoroughly enjoying this build at the moment, and I really hope you like this video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.